Okay. Stop laughing at me. Okay, so here we are. We're live. You know, me and Greg are live, but we're not live like usual. So it's been a while since we've been here, and tonight we wanted to talk about something that's personal to Greg because he just went through it, and there's been a couple stories up on Twitter about it, and so we wanted to kind of address it. It's quite complex.
Can we just talk about where you are first? Can we where are you? What's going on?
I'm in northern Canada. This is
this your house? Is this where you live?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow,
it
looks nice.
In the forest. Hi, I'm hiding.
Yeah, I'm in hiding.
That's what happens. You know, when you leave the cult, you got to go into hiding.
Yeah,
in a remote forest house.
They're after you now.
Yeah, and so here we are. This is where we find ourselves.
Sometimes I think, I wonder if they will send people after us or something like that. You know what I mean? To get info or so. I don't know.
You never. I don't know.
Probably not, but
I doubt
sometimes you think about that.
I don't think about that, but they are a very secretive organization, and
yes.
And I was thinking about that today. I was listening to something, and they were talking about judicial committees and how you're never allowed to record a judicial meeting, and you're not allowed to see the records from it, and those documents get filed with the congregation and then the branch, and that's where they end. And so we wanted to have you on, Greg, because you're always on, and because you have a lot to say about privacy and your information and the importance of being able to access that. And in some countries, that's a lot harder to do. And I guess in the States, it's almost impossible to do. But why don't you tell us where this got started with your inquiry into the Privacy Commission?
I wasn't always a person that thought this was an important issue. I think I was like most people when you first hear about privacy and your personal information. I just didn't give it a second thought. What happened was it was actually a friend of ours. You and I both know who it is, who informed me that the province in Canada that I'm originally from had changed their laws with regards to personal information. So normally people can, if you work for a government organization or, even a corporation, you can request information from these organizations if they have information about you. What happened in British Columbia, Canada, is they changed their law so that the Personal Information Protection Act that they created encompassed also, not only government organizations, but also charitable organizations. And this is from I believe this is somewhat uncommon. I think it's becoming more and more common, but right now it's not that common. So what this does is it allows individuals to access their records from charitable organizations, and we know what is an important charitable organization is almost all churches. Right? They are charitable organizations. So this new law that came into effect in British Columbia, Canada, encompassed churches. So individuals now, if a church has any records or files on you, you can go ahead and ask for them. And so thus that, this friend of ours that told me about this, this got me going down this road. So the way we started it is I requested my documents from the last congregation that I was at. It's kind of a long story, but it's the congregation was where I was disassociated. So I sent a letter, politely asked for any records they had with regards to myself.
And they sent them probably, right?
Yeah, they sent them right away. They said, "Hey," they couriered them right to my door.
No problem, Greg.
Yeah. So, no, they sent me a letter back. No, so this would have been, just to give you a timeline here. This is over 2 years ago. I think it was late 2019 that it's funny how time goes by. Like,
Yeah.
anyways, over 2 years ago that this started. So I sent this letter requesting any files that they had, and they responded about a month later saying that they did not have any files. Yeah, the first part of the letter said that, but the second part of the letter did acknowledge that they had a sealed envelope um, that was with regards to my disassociation, and that this was this envelope fell under the client, or sorry, the penitent priest of privilege, and they couldn't release this envelope.
Right.
I think it's maybe a good time to mention at first here, the first mention it as envelope. So for anybody that doesn't know what this is, um, any individual that has been disfellowshipped or disassociated, they will have a sealed envelope with your information in this envelope.
Now, do you know what's, or I guess you don't know yet because you haven't seen it. Is it just your S77 that's in there? Like your disfellowshipping form or
Um,
disassociating form?
well, the rules are changing quite a lot within the organization. So the S77 form has changed. So yes, the S77 form would be in there, but also there's probably notes that the elders made.
Right. A
Um,
summary.
yeah, a summary. Now, I'm not sure that now they have those notes in this sealed envelope. So I don't know if it's standard practice now. But they would have, so yes, they would have the S77. They would have notes probably from me, and any other information pertaining to me. Sometimes they'll have the last year of your service, like your publisher records.
Yeah.
And with me, there was a letter actually that I had written to the newspaper that they considered to be my disassociation. They just assumed that this is my association. So they probably have a copy of that in the file. And there may be other documents too. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it actually and seeing what's in there. I think most people are surprised at the level of detail that the elders get into. And so, you know, uh, I don't know. Maybe it's just the S77 form. Maybe it's other documents. I don't know. They
Right.
obviously they're not going to tell me.
No, obviously not. So
Yeah.
then after they wrote back, what was the next step? Where did that
So
go from there?
they acknowledged this sealed envelope. And so for those listening, you might have a sealed envelope. If you're disfellowshipped or dissociated, there's a sealed envelope with your information in it in your last congregation.
Yeah.
So these are your documents. This is your file about you, about something that happened to you. Actually, it's a file about a secret court that took place that
Yeah.
they documented and did not give you a copy of.
Yeah.
So I want to just hammer that home, that these are your files that they have decided you are not privy to have a copy of this. In any other situation in most of the modern world, we are given a copy. You get pulled over by a police officer. What does he do? He gives you a copy of the ticket. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Any sort of court, if anybody hasn't been involved in court, I mean, there's mountains of paperwork.
Yeah.
In the Watchtower organization, they are similar to a lot of authoritarian governments in that they have secret courts and they document what's going on, but they don't give you a copy.
Yeah.
And this is just something that we as witnesses kind of accepted as normal. Well, it's not normal.
No,
It's not
no, it's
normal.
not. And it's a real cult sign.
Yeah.
That's the record keeping, right? Like we may
Yeah.
look at it and think, why would you bother keeping all those records? Just for the common sense that they could come back to hurt them. You'd think, why would
Yeah.
they do that? But then, I was just watching that documentary about the FLDS,
Yeah.
and they did the same thing. They had like this room, it was a huge safe, and it was
Yeah.
full of documents of all the stuff they did and
Yeah.
recordings and like all kinds of damning material, and they had it all. And you wonder
Yeah.
why they do that, but it's not that different.
Yeah, and it would be one thing if they were very meticulous about documentation and gave you a copy.
Yeah,
Here's your copy, and
there's
everybody
no
signs it or whatever.
transparency.
Yeah, but no, like it's amazing all the things that we went through in the organization, like whether we were appointed as ministerial servants or we went through any type of judicial committee, and we don't receive any documentation, none. you know
No, I know.
and the point though is that they have documents. They
Yeah.
do have documents. It's not like they're not documenting it. They are. You just don't get a copy, which is ridiculous. So anyway, I just really wanted to mention that. So what happened was they acknowledged that they had my sealed envelope, and so obviously, I sent them a letter back and said, okay, I'll take you at face value that you don't have any other documents, but I do want copies of what you have in the sealed envelope. I do want copies of that. So a month later, I was contacted not by the congregation. So for anybody that's been following this in the newspaper article, this is the Coldstream congregation in Vernon, British Columbia. Just so you know.
And Greg is GW. It's not George
Yes,
Washington. It's Greg.
it's not. Yeah,
It's Greg.
if you
Greg
read the
Westgard.
articles, it refers to me as GW. Greg Westgard. Yes, not George Washington.
Or the popular cowboy jeans from the 1990s.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Anyway, so okay, so I sent a second request, and I received a letter. I've got all the letters filed away, but this was an interesting letter because it was not from the Coldstream congregation. It was from I think it's W. Glenn Howe and Associates. So this is the law firm that represents the Canadian branch of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a well-known law firm, and the individual that it's named after, Glenn Howe, is a well-known lawyer in the JW world. He was very prominent in Canada, fighting various bands that the witnesses had, but he also traveled around the world too. I don't know how extensively, but he was a well-known individual. Even when I was young, I actually met him once at a convention. Just said hi to him, but everybody's like, "Oh, there's Glenn Howe." You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's JW celebrity.
JW celebrity, definitely. He has passed away now. And so the actually the I think the managing partner or the principal partner or whatever they're called is actually David Ganam. And most people would be familiar with him. He's the individual that is filmed in the Supreme Court case, that video that went around where it says families are
normal family relations continue.
Yeah, normal family relations continue after
giant
disfellowshipping.
liar.
Yeah, so he's the liar. So yeah, it's that law firm. Now it wasn't Ganam that handled my case. It was another lawyer named Jaden McEwen. He's also an elder. So anyway, so I get a letter from this law firm, and this law firm spells it out to me directly that I will not be receiving any documents. End of story. Now, it's me and another individual, by the way.
Little strong arm tactic.
Oh yeah,
Just go
oh
right
yeah.
to the
They
lawyer
do
letter.
a lot of that. And it's for people watching this. It is an incredible thing seeing the organization in this environment, yeah, outside of the meetings, the conventions, whatever. It's when you see them, it's like you're seeing behind the curtain. It's like you're seeing what they truly are. And it's not at all like God's organization. You think of it as this like pious, religious, honest. It is not at all like that. It is, these people are sharks
Yeah,
there. And it's like fighting a corporation. That's what it's like. They
yep,
are like
that's what
just
they
like a
are.
corporation. Yeah.
Yeah,
They defend themselves no matter what. The truth doesn't really mean much. It's, how Donald Trump whenever somebody attacks him, he just goes on the offensive.
yeah,
He goes on the offensive on Twitter, or used to go on the offensive on Twitter, or he'll sue them, he'll take them to court. He just that's all he does. Uh, and the JWs are similar to that. It's always on the offensive. They lawyer up. They will do whatever they can to always fight. So and lots of times they're rehashing arguments that have already been decided. It's a typical thing they do. And in the cases that have been that have went on in the US and all over the world, the court will make a decision, and the Watchtower will bring up that same argument later.
yeah.
It's just like Donald Trump is crazy. The witnesses are crazy.
It's a great
Do you like my
analogy.
analogy?
It's perfect. I mean, they're just a bunch of overweight white men
Yeah,
running the show, and they're
hmm
a tad inebriated at times.
yeah. So what happened so I got this letter, and so we knew this was going to happen. This was not a surprise. So what we did is, now it was time to bring in the government, who apparently, for the last, however many years. I think that law came into effect. I think it was 2014. I might be wrong about that, but anyway, so we made a complaint. So I made a complaint, but there was another individual that made the complaint as well. And we made the complaint to the BC. It's not necessarily the government. It's the BC government has commissioned they have a privacy commission that look after these things. So we made a complaint to the privacy commission about this situation. So what happens after that is the privacy commission will they appointed an investigator, a very nice lady. And I talked to her a little bit, and then she goes and talks to the Watchtower and to the congregation and tries to mediate the situation. So that was that went on for a few months. And she didn't really talk to me a whole lot, because I'm just simply asking for my documents. It's more her talking to them, and they don't really tell you, what she's saying to them. They're just eventually, what happened is a few months later, she called me up and said, okay, the mediation has failed, and would you be interested in going to an inquiry? So yeah, so that's that to get to that step. I think it was like 6 months,
Right.
since I had originally asked for my documents, where we were finally, we were kind of going to battle with each other, you
Yeah.
know. And so yeah, so the obviously I said yes, I would be interested in. I wanted to go to an inquiry. And the inquiry works out. How it works is that the everybody has a chance to state their case. Now, the Watchtower, which was interesting, brought into they brought into the argument the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And whenever you do that, then if they have a charter complaint, then that involves other people, and namely it would be the Attorney General of British Columbia. So it was not only was this inquiry involving myself and another individual who was asking for their records, but also the Watchtower Canada, and the congregation itself, and another congregation, and the Attorney General. So there was actually the Attorney General of Canada and the Attorney General of British Columbia, but the Attorney General of Canada just deferred to the Attorney General of British Columbia. So all of us kind of went to this thing called an inquiry.
Right.
And yeah, the inquiry works where Watchtower states their case, why they're not giving the information. And then the Attorney General and myself and the other person involved, we stated our case. And then the Watchtower actually gets to rebut our argument. And then the inquiry makes a decision. So that's how it's supposed to work.
So going back though, didn't they? So when it first happened and the Privacy Commission said we'll do an inquiry, Watchtower's move was to try and get it thrown out, saying this violated their freedom to religion, right? Freedom of religion.
Yeah. So
that's why the Attorney General was involved.
Well, the Attorney General would have been involved anyway. But what the Watchtower did is, knowing them, they actually got a stay or applied for a stay of the proceedings. And they took a separate court case to the Supreme Court of British Columbia, basically saying that this inquiry shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be looked after by the Privacy Commission. It should be looked after by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court should deal with this.
Yeah.
And they actually, to complicate matters, they actually have a separate civil claim that they've also filed in Supreme Court then to get the law changed. They actually did that as well. So
and that's still happening then?
Well, we haven't heard anything about that. If they have ended it, or what's going on there. I would imagine it hasn't. They're not going to give up. I mean, they have their own law firm.
Yeah, they're going to spend the money they got.
It's
real easy to come by.
Yeah,
when you're a giant religion.
Exactly.
That's a cult. Are there any other provinces that have the same law? Is Quebec the same, or
no? So
did we ever find out?
In Canada, there is. I don't know specifically. Like somebody that's watching may correct me, but in Canada, you basically have two choices. You can, as a province, you can have your own privacy legislation, or you can defer to the federal privacy legislation.
Right.
Now, Alberta, where we live, actually, they don't include charitable organizations, but there has been some precedent where charitable organizations have got involved. An individual told me about some recently. So I'm going to have to look into that a little bit. But I think BC is definitely on the forefront of this. And, it's an important thing, too, because it's not only with regards to religions that have documents about you, but really personal information is a big deal right now. With regards to different, apps that Facebook and Amazon, these apps are tracking you across all of your, your activity on your phone. They're tracking where you go. And, and people are now waking up, for a while now, they've been waking up where they're like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this.
Right.
And, this is my information. And this is that's such an important point about this whole thing is that, you're on your phone and you're doing whatever it is you do. That's your information. Yeah. And you should have control of that. If you want to give it to Facebook, then give it to Facebook, but it should be your control. And if Facebook wants to pay you for it, maybe they should be giving you money for it. And this is the same thing with the Watchtower and these documents that they have. These are your documents. This is your information, you know, that they're sitting in back rooms writing down about you. You know, this
Yeah.
is your information. You should have at least see what it is, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And
and all
they treat you like it's ridiculous that you even ask.
it's
Like it's like, what do you? You
they
don't get
argue
this.
that they can't do their job. This is the one of the main arguments that they made in the whole thing was that elders can't do their job unless they have secret documents about you. You know, it's like, I wonder what Jesus would say about that.
It makes
You
sense.
know, like, you know, where does it say that you need to have in the that you there's needs to be secret documents about people hidden away in the basement of a kingdom hall? You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's just it's so not something that you would think of as a honest, loving organization sent from God. No,
Yeah.
what they have is like secret, and they can't do their job without it.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
It is. It is
You
ridiculous.
know?
Yeah.
So the Watchtower, they actually had two court cases, and one court case was to apply to stop this inquiry that the Privacy Commission had started.
Right.
So that took quite a long time, and that was many months where we had to wait, and it was just all through COVID too. So we virtually went to both court days, where where we heard arguments from the commissioner that handles the inquiry. The commission, they had their own lawyers, and the attorney general made statements, made a case, and the Watchtower made a case. And it's interesting. I mean, it gets quite detailed with regards to charters. This is the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's similar to your human rights.
Yeah.
um you know they're claiming that this infringes upon their right to the freedom of religion. It infringes on their rights because they have to give you a copy of your documents about you.
Yeah.
you know um so that was their claim. And so it was quite a long process. And what's interesting too, like Yan talked about this a lot. Like, they refer to us quite a bit in these documents to apostates,
Yeah.
as troublemakers. They paint you with this brush of you're just like a bad person that
Yeah.
who just wants to cause trouble.
Yeah. You
That's
got
your
an
only goal.
axe to grind, and
Yeah.
that's your goal in life. Is
Yeah.
to get back at witnesses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so it was that court case lasted quite a while. And to reiterate, they tried to stop the inquiry. Eventually, the Supreme Court of British Columbia came out with a decision that said, no, the Privacy Commission can handle this case. They can decide charter issues, and they can go ahead and do the inquiry. The Watchtower had lots. They wanted to have it where they interrogated us, like where they cross-examined
Right.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. They wanted it
So
in person.
yeah, and we could submit affidavits, right? So we could submit in our when we stated our case in the inquiry, we had the ability to bring in affidavits, which we did. And they wanted to cross-examine the individuals that submitted the affidavits. you know yeah, so
God.
they wanted in their description, they wanted an adversarial environment,
Right.
where they could, and they also wanted it so that in court, there's a certain level of that you have certain bar that you have to reach for evidence. Whereas in an inquiry, it's designed for people that don't know the legal system. It's designed for people like me and you, to to be able to take part, and we're not lawyers. You know what I
Right.
mean? So the
Yeah.
bar, we can submit information, and whereas in a court case, you would need to have a lawyer representing you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's another way that they wanted to push us around. I have to mention this. This is this is super funny actually, and I think the right word would be ironic, if that applies. Sometimes we get that definition wrong, but Alanis Morissette maybe did.
She nailed it.
Yeah. So it's so hilarious. So I am asking for my documents, right? My sealed documents that they have in their possession, and these are sealed documents from a secret court case. Well, and they're refusing to give me these documents. Well, when they did the Supreme Court case, right? They served me with like a mountain of paperwork that came to my door. Some man or woman, I can't remember, came to the door. You were Greg Westgard. Yes. Okay. Sign here. And they give me this mountain of paperwork. And I wasn't, I was just a party to the proceedings. I wasn't a defendant or a plaintiff. I was just a party. And they actually mentioned that in the court case. They said, oh, we took it upon ourselves to make sure Mr. Westgard had, all the documents and all with regards to this court case. So here you have a regular court case, and they are submitting you mountains of documents. And on the other hand, the whole reason for the case is that there's this secret court case, and I just want my documents. And they won't give them to me.
They're like, what do you not understand about secret, Greg?
Yeah.
It's a secret. You don't get to know about it.
But it's like so ironic. Here they're sending me mountains of paperwork. And you know what? Thank you for all of this paperwork. Can you now send me the other paperwork that I'm asking for?
Just a little envelope. Yeah. No big deal. You don't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we stated so the Watchtower made their case. So the inquiry moved forward, and the Watchtower stated their case. In there, they talked a lot about their need to have these secret documents. Elders need these to do their job, I guess. And they should be allowed to compile files on you and not show you these files,
right? Because that was infringed on their privacy.
Yeah. But you know what, the Privacy Commission is sensitive to that, and I wasn't unreasonable. Like, I even in my submission to the inquiry, I said, if the elders want to remove their name, like, I don't even remember the elders that were part of my committee. To be honest, I didn't know that I even had a committee, but
aren't they mostly dead?
The two of them have passed away, and one is very ill, so that could have been well, obviously two of them have passed away, but it's kind of a little bit difficult to trust every single thing that they say in their documents anyway. So I was fully okay with them redacting their names. I didn't that I'm not out to get the elders. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have any ill will towards these elders. This is honestly, you and I both have some, I don't know what, we do have a little bit of an axe to grind with the organization, but it's an honest axe to grind. We're not sitting here lying about anything. There is some serious problems with this organization. And, you and I have both said that it'd be nice if we can see some real change before we leave this planet,
For sure. And that's the problem, is they paint it out that anybody who leaves and speaks out against Watchtower is speaking out against, your friends, the people that you knew, all the individual witnesses that you're
exactly.
They take it very personal, like you're attacking them.
Yeah, they even said that in their submissions that we are attacking specific witnesses. We're not.
We're not.
We're not at all.
I have no interest in, like, as the reality is, even a couple of the witnesses, and there's not very many that I look back on that are like, that guy's a real douchebag, but there are a couple, but there's people like that everywhere. Honestly, I think if they were given the chance to not be in a cult, maybe they wouldn't be douchebags, because I know I acted like a douchebag sometimes.
So did I.
And now I look
We've
back and
talked
I'm
about
like,
this.
well, that was dumb. I would
Yeah.
never do that now, and it's
Yeah.
embarrassing. So I like, that's the crazy thing, is how they look at you like you're attacking them and you're out to get them, and you just want to hurt them, and it's like, we
Well, and
don't
they
have
say
any
that you
interest in
lie,
that.
right? That you say
Yeah,
half truths,
yeah.
and
Everything you say is a lie.
yeah, and yet they lie.
Yeah,
You know,
all the time.
like, yeah, and in these, in these documents that they submitted, it's full of half truths. It's totally, they have many misleading statements.
Yeah,
But yeah, so yeah, no, with regards to, yeah, so the other information, if I would have been fully happy if in the documents it's somebody else's personal information is mentioned. Well, that can be redacted, that's fine, I don't need to know that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't need to know the names of the elders. So we're being reasonable here with regards to our request. you know
yeah,
but anyway, so the inquiry moved forward. The Watchtower sent in their argument, and so I've spoken a little bit about that. It's quite a few pages long. And it's a lot about charter rights and freedoms, and they go into quite detail, and it's quite involved. And I definitely am not qualified, and I wasn't qualified to answer those. So it's a good thing that the Attorney General of British Columbia was involved, because it's very detailed arguments with regards to the rights of religions, and the information that's being collected. Can it be classified as work notes, or is it, what is, when an elder writes something down about a person, what is that? And
right.
so it got quite detailed and very complicated. And, like, anybody that's read legal documents, I mean, they are literally arguing over words, like one word. What does this one word mean?
Yeah,
So, in my submission that I sent in, it didn't really deal with a lot of that, because honestly, I'm just not qualified to be able to handle that sort of thing. You think you think that you can get involved in this
I
stuff,
got
but
this.
when you get in the weeds, it's like, yeah, no, I might need to go to school for this. Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason we have lawyers.
Yeah,
Sometimes lawyers are not that smart, but you know what I mean.
no,
Anyway,
but
so yeah, they sent in their submission. I sent in mine. My submission talked a lot about confidentiality. They make statements like, only the three elders involved in your judicial case know the details. They just make these blanket statements. Only those three elders know. Well, that's just absolutely false. It's a lie.
yeah,
Because they don't mention the fact that a lot of times the circuit overseer is consulted, right? And in my case, I I'm I'm
for
fairly
sure.
sure they would have talked to the circuit overseer.
I'm certain anytime apostasy is a thing, that's they talk to
Yeah,
the circuit overseer.
yeah, exactly. And if you look in the Shepherd book, there's numerous situations where other elders have access to this information with regards to judicial committees. You can look at at least 5 or 6 different situations where other elders can have access. One just simply being the secretary of the congregation. If
Yeah,
you have to go and check the files, I mean, you have access to this. And they didn't at all. Well, they did kind of once mention that they send the information to the branch, right?
right.
So, but they have, like, you wouldn't believe these guys. You wouldn't believe them. So you have the Canadian branch, right? The headquarters, right? And
Yeah,
so when an elder, um, when they complete a S77 form, which is a disfellowshipping or disassociation, that is sent to the Canadian branch with all the details on it, right?
Yeah.
Well, they said that the Canadian branch and it's actually sent to the service department. Well, the service department is not the Canadian branch. It's like something else. It's like, it's so ridiculous
It's a
that,
storefront a couple blocks away.
yeah, it's like in a building, like
We,
literally across, but
we,
it's not the Canadian branch. It's something else. And
we don't know what those guys are
whatever.
doing over
It's
there.
just absolute bullshit. You know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, they danced around that quite a bit. But you know what? I was surprised because the commission didn't really get involved in the congregation uploading the files to the branch, which I was disappointed. And I don't know if that's because, well, now that's an issue for all of Canada or what, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
they
it's
didn't.
interesting they never addressed it.
Yeah, so I don't know what the deal is there, but yeah, so my submission dealt a lot with confidentiality. I went through the Shepherd's book a lot. To basically also the idea that, when we think of, they're talking about clergy, penitent privilege, right? Let's say you go to a priest and you're like, listen, I got to tell you something, whatever. And you want that to stay private between you and the priest, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is not what's going on in the Watchtower. This is not what's happening here. What's happening is there is a secret court case and they are documenting it. They're not sitting in some confessional, giving you advice and telling you to say some prayers and some Hail Marys. That's not what's happening. They are conducting a court case where a decision is made, and this decision has massive ramifications for a person's life. In fact, some individuals in the Watchtower refer to some of the punishment as kind of like a death penalty.
Yeah.
It's not a death penalty, but it's like a social death penalty, spiritual death
Spiritual
penalty.
death for sure.
Yeah, and they are documenting this. So I'm drawing in my submission, I'm drawing making this point that this is, you need to know what these documents are. These are documents of secret court cases that for some reason the Watchtower feels that individuals don't need a copy of the decisions that are made,
Yeah.
And so anyway, I sent my submission in. I think it had some effect, but really, to be honest, the individual had the most effect was the Attorney General of British Columbia. He made his case, and and then the Watchtower rebutted. We included affidavits, and they just said these affidavits are garbage and whatever, and and it reiterated their case again. And then so this was all done. So the inquiry was finished, and that was, I don't know, like 8 months ago now, I think it was. We thought that once the inquiry was done, I was thinking maybe 2 months or 3 months, but we waited and waited for a decision. And a couple times I actually got in contact with my contact at the commission to say, like, what's going on? And they're like, well, this is a complicated case. And it does have a lot of ramifications, something like this.
Yeah, for sure it does.
Because I've been talking about this with people, and even to different university professors who haven't really jumped on it all that much. But I think like this, even in Canada, we have this situation with the residential schools. And for those that are not from Canada, the Canadian government was involved in sending Aboriginal children to these schools. They would take them out of their family and send them to schools that were run by the Catholic Church. And as you can imagine, or maybe as you can't imagine, there's horrible, horrible, terrible, terrible things that happened in these schools.
Yeah.
And so, you could see the Catholic Church kind of claiming like this is privileged information. If you wanted to gain the records, from things that happened, that you could see the Catholic Church saying, no, no, this is, and so this idea of information, like what some of the most damning information is going to be with the Catholic Church is getting into their records. How many kids were there? Where did these kids go? Did some disappear? Did a lot disappear?
Yeah.
That's where the real smoking gun is going to be in the documentation.
Yeah,
you
for
know
sure.
and if religions just simply have a carte blanche to just do whatever they want with their documents, then that's just not right. And so something like this is quite far reaching in that, religions, people should have access to their own information, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And just because it's a religion doesn't mean that an individual doesn't get access to their information. And, we all know, where this could lead as well. I mean, there, just so you know, like my file that the congregation had is a file from disfellowshipping and disassociation. That's the sealed envelope. Well, there's other sealed envelopes that have a printed on it, do not destroy. Right.
Yeah.
So the congregation is not allowed to destroy those documents. And that is with regards to CSA cases.
Yeah.
So, that wasn't the case with me, but there's other people that do have that information, and the congregation has those documents.
Yeah.
And maybe some people, who have had this happen to them and the elders knew about it, and there's documents with regards to it. Maybe these people want to see those documents.
Yeah. And
Right?
that's honestly what they're trying to stop, right?
Yeah.
They don't really care about us or, your case individually.
Yeah.
It's they see the big picture, and they just want to keep business as usual, keep
Yeah.
things quiet, keep things secret, keep it in
Yeah.
house, and everything's fine. And you can see it's just a house of cards. And every time one of these cases gets settled out of court, or it hits the news or whatever, it just pulls another card out, and someday that has to have some kind of effect on them. I don't see
Yeah.
them falling right down, like we've said that before, but it has to have some effect where they change. They have to change something.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No. So, this situation, it has some far reaching implications, some important implications. And, you know, um, it's a way that, in Norway, they've been so good at, going after the shunning, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But really, this is another way that individuals can really get at them with regards to their secrecy.
yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
um, they document your stuff, and they document stuff that might have ramifications in a court case. Where
Yeah,
and so anybody that's from British Columbia that's watching. And and if you understand, we're making it pretty plain here, but if you're if that's you that we're talking about, then you might want to investigate this and ask for your records.
yeah,
And it's funny when we've talked about this to people online, there's lots of congregations that just say, "Oh, we lost them.
right.
Oh yeah, we lost your records." You know what I mean?
Oops.
Yeah. So, you know, how many times has that happened? But you know what? Maybe they still do have your records, and maybe they're not going to lie about them. They claim to be honest people.
Yeah, and you
Uh,
might get an elder that doesn't look the other way.
yeah, Yeah.
Who knows? That's what I mean. I think individually, sometimes we get frustrated or tired and think, what's my little case going to do, or
Yeah.
what's this going to matter? But it matters, and it goes to show it matters because all you did was ask for your information. That simply
Yeah.
put, you just wanted your records that they had that were about you, that they wrote about you. End of story.
Yes.
You don't have a lawsuit mounted against them,
Nope.
and they know that, but they refuse to give it because that's the kind of organization they are.
Yeah.
They want control, they want to be secretive, and that's what they're going to continue to do. So if we can, every one person that makes a little difference, uh, it makes a difference because like you can see, they wouldn't fight so hard if it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It
Well, and
matters to
it's
them.
just so hilarious that, apparently, like I hammer this all the time, but apparently, when Armageddon, just before Armageddon happens, they're going to stand in front of the governments and, they're going to like hold steady to what they believe.
Yeah,
No, that's not what they do now.
that'd be
What
the
they do
first.
now is
That'd
they
be the
try and
first time.
hide everything that they do.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they want to keep it secret. They don't want to tell the governments. They don't want the governments to know what they're doing. They're cowards. That's what they
No,
are.
that's why they're
Why don't
waiting.
they just give me my information? Here you go. Here you go. Have whatever you want. I don't know. This is all the documents we have. What do we have to worry about? We are backed by Jehovah and Jesus. Jesus and Jehovah are protecting us. What do
Yeah,
we have to worry about?
yeah.
No, that's not how they react. That's not
No,
what they do. They are scared because I guess they don't really think Jehovah has their back because they're
no.
terrified of apostates. Do you
Yeah,
think God would be terrified of apostates? I don't think so. Just us, two carpenters from Alberta. Why
no.
would they be scared of us? Why would they got God on their side? But apparently, it's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And they do the same thing with child abuse cases too. It's all the same, right? It's like, why wouldn't you just report them? Just
yeah,
report them.
you're
It's
God's organization for crying
like,
out loud.
yeah, like you don't
Yeah,
want those
just
guys around. That's gross. God doesn't like it, and He
yeah.
wants to protect innocent people and kids, and like that's what the scriptures preach about. And yet you're so concerned about the name of the organization, which they say that God's name, but it's the name of Watchtower. That's what they're concerned about, and so
So
they toe the
hide
line.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's gross to watch because it makes no sense. Because when you're a rank and file witness who isn't an elder, and I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's elders too, but I, I never felt like that's the way the organization was because you don't see it.
yeah,
You don't see
yeah.
them in court. You don't see them. You don't see their documents that don't come to your average witness. Any
Mm-hmm.
of the letters, any of that correspondence. So you just think, like I think of my dad when I think of this stuff because he, like this organization, that's his parents, and he
Yeah.
looks at them like they are Superman, and he loves everything they do and supports them to his grave. And that's terrible because he doesn't know them. He doesn't know them
No,
because they
no.
won't they won't show themselves, and they got him convinced to not look. Don't look.
Yeah.
Just don't look at it.
And you can't listen to the people that are telling the truth like you and I.
No, because
You
they're
can't. Oh,
liars.
they're
They're liars.
Satanists. Yeah. When
Yeah.
they're the liars, they're the
Yeah.
ones. Now, I don't deny that in my submission. I mean, I tried to be as honest as possible, but you know what I mean? I'm not a lawyer, and you know what I mean? But these guys are lawyers, and they're well, and they just openly lie.
Yeah.
So it's just sickening. It's just sickening.
And they're elders and lawyers.
Elders,
They're uh,
yeah.
they're special. They're the what are they? The stars of heaven or something? What
I,
are they listed
I,
as? I don't know. Some fucking thing.
I don't know. I've lost touch with the latest theologies.
The
I
newest of
got
lights.
Maybe I should go to the convention this year to refresh myself on the craziness.
Yeah, they're going back this year, so that would be just see if you can get in.
No, I'm not going to the real. I mean, like
Oh,
the virtual.
you're gonna
I'm
watch the
not going to go to the
virtual.
real convention.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
So anyway, so back to the story. So we all submitted our documents. We waited a long time, and just recently, a few weeks ago, that's why we're doing this. Well, actually, what happened is usually in a typical inquiry, the commissioner will actually receive the documents, right? Then the inquiry will take place, and the commissioner thus will make a decision, and then will redact any third-party information, and then either or not give the documents, or redact the third-party information and give the individual the documents. So, but in this case, the Watchtower didn't even send the commissioner any of the information. They wouldn't even do that. They would not give anybody the information, not even the commissioner. So the commissioner reiterated her request for these documents. The Watchtower again denied that. And so finally, the commissioner made a decision and said, okay, you have until August 3rd. So this is an order. They have been given orders now to submit the documents by August the 3rd. So, so the Watchtower now has been ordered to submit my documents, my sealed envelope, to the commissioner, and the commissioner will examine these documents for third-party information and then send them to me. So, it is a win. So we won. Now, the Watchtower does have they do have one last card that they can play, and that is a judicial review. So I don't know. I'm starting to think they won't do it because the inquiry was so involved. It was, you know what I mean? And Watchtower to go to judicial review, they would have to have some sort of foot to stand on, like to ask for an appeal, basically.
Right.
Knowing Watchtower, look at Norway, look at it. That's what they do. They just appeal.
Yeah.
So, that's good that we're doing this episode, because I don't have my documents. When I do get my documents, we're gonna see what's in there, and
we're gonna read them out.
Yeah,
I mean, like, Greg was streaking.
Yeah,
through the quad.
Yeah, yeah, through the quad, streaking.
It's not. It's not what it was.
No, well, I don't know. I can't. Maybe there was. If there was streaking, I'll tell you.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's another life.
It is an interesting story, my disassociation, and that's another thing that they got wrong in. Like, they refer to my disassociation, and the details are not correct, but whatever,
right.
They'll just, it doesn't matter to them, so yeah, that's where we are now. We are waiting for the documents. Hopefully, they follow through with their orders, and and hopefully we have done our part to kind of shed a little bit more light on this, in the dark places of these authoritarian organizations, where we have, just shed a little bit more light, so that people can see what goes on in these organizations.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and hopefully, I think it shows that it doesn't matter, who you are. You can do something.
Yeah,
and,
I'm not.
I
never went to university. I didn't. It was nothing. It's nothing special that I did here. And also, some people have said, "Oh, this must have been super stressful." No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's just mostly waiting.
Yeah.
And so it was fairly easy. And if I was a JW, I would have said, God is on my side. You know what I mean? They're always claiming that Jehovah directed them. Well, it all worked out for me. I didn't have to do much. The Attorney General really did most of my arguing for me, and it wasn't. So it's not that hard. It wasn't stressful.
Where was Jehovah on that one?
Exactly.
I'll tell you where he was. He was laying in my fucking bed.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
It's my cat.
Are we talking about Jehovah the cat?
Yeah, Jehovah
Where's Jehovah the cat?
He's in the house.
I wish that he made an appearance on this episode.
He doesn't like apostate stuff.
Could you imagine if he just jumped up on the back railing right now? That'd
Just
be freaking
attacked
awesome.
me. He's too fat to jump anywhere.
Is he?
Yeah.
Jehovah needs to go on a diet.
Yeah, he eats himself to death. That's his way of
Oh,
dealing with the anxiety.
typical Jehovah.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Oh, as you can tell, I love Jehovah the guy. It's so
Yeah.
weird to say I love Jehovah.
I do too.
Do you love Jehovah? What the hell? What
First
the hell
time
does
in
that
my life.
even mean?
I don't know.
You know what? I've never actually met Jehovah. Let's be honest here. Jehovah has never said anything to
It's
me.
true. It's true.
And you know what? Can I tell the witnesses that are watching? He's never said anything to you either. Really? Has Jehovah talked to you? He hasn't. He hasn't talked to you. And he doesn't speak to people in like license plates and all of a sudden a bird flies by or so whatever. Yeah. I don't know. That's
look
not
for the signs.
No, I'm talking about talking, like normal talking. He doesn't talk to you.
No talking. No.
He never talked to me and he never talked to you.
Nope.
I'm not saying that there's no God. I mean, I'm just, how am I supposed to know if there's a God? But you know what? Jehovah never talked to you. Okay. And he never talked to me.
No.
So, and Satan doesn't talk to me either.
No.
I know a lot of people might feel that, wow, Satan is sitting behind me. He's not. He's not here.
No. Nobody talks to me. Greg talks to me. And
I talk to you.
And Lisa talks to me. And that's about it. A couple of my kids talk to me. 2 of them don't. So that's that's depressing.
Are we rambling? It's hot here in Calgary. I'm like
sweating. Is it?
To death. Yeah,
oh, it's nice. It's nice here. It's cool out here on the deck. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Sun's setting.
I'm in an urban environment. You're in
I'm in the countryside.
In the woods.
Definitely not a rich guy, but I'm definitely in the woods.
Yep. Well, there's a lot of ways to be rich.
It's so nice. Look at this. Look at this sunset on the trees.
Oh,
it's just
my goodness,
glowing.
That is wow. You got a nice place there. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's.
I would move my camera around, but I think it's pretty much. There's paintings on the wall here. There we go. That's my daughter's paintings right there. So
those are your daughter's paintings. I was wondering.
Yeah. She watches the video and all her So I go to her graduation. I went to her graduation, right?
Yeah.
And all her friends are coming up to me and saying, "Hey, is this your hey, I love your work." They all watch the channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're all like, it's like they're, I know. I think obviously they're kind of joking a little bit. I don't
right. Yeah.
Really, but it is weird. Channel. Like
kids love YouTube.
They all watch EXJW-Live.
Oh yeah. We got to do a live someday. We should do a live.
Damn right. Well, we are on StreamYard, so you know what I mean. We can stream. We do have the technology.
You know how many people would tune in?
I'm afraid I don't know.
2 probably. I bet we get 2 in the chat.
Oh, we get 20.
You think we get 20? I don't think we get 20.
We should have a bet. How many people would show up?
Oh boy,
we could do it.
We just shoot for a high number, like 144,000.
I'd have to go onto Twitter after and talk about all the things I shouldn't have said.
It's true.
Yeah, you agree with that. This is what I meant.
I'd be very politically correct. That's what I would be.
All right. Well, you know what? Have we done? I did most of the talking, but
that's what the plan was. This was all about your the big reveal who GW was in the news.
Yeah.
So that was good. I think we covered it all, and the Jehovah's Witness organization are a bunch of giant fat liars.
Yes, but secret.
And they keep everything secret.
Yeah.
and
they sit on the back of the Kingdom Hall and write down stuff about you, and you don't know what it is.
No,
and you should know.
They're like, tonight, Nashon had bright orange hair, and he ran the mics and gave a talk. I need to pull him aside after the meeting and have a talk with him with his Watchtower.
Yeah.
And he did. Sure enough.
He did. Oh, all right. Well, are we done then?
Yep.
Okay. Well, hey, this was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
We're going to get in a better routine. We're going to be back sooner this time.
Yeah, yeah, we won't let it go so long. But it's summer and we're enjoying ourselves and working a lot. Actually,
Yeah,
is really what it is.
yeah.
So
It's
okay,
Greg. I blame Greg because he's in charge.
I'm not in charge. Would you stop that? It's actually you, but
Well,
whatever.
I'll schedule some stuff, and then you got to edit it.
It's actually Lloyd pulling all the strings.
It
He tells
is.
me what to do.
Me too. That's why he's been liking my tweets.
That's impressive. I haven't even checked. I haven't been on Twitter a lot lately, but I think I'm still blocked.
Mm,
You got to
probably.
work harder to get blocked. I mean, you gotta
I don't
be
know.
an idiot sometimes.
I'm
Actually, I
so
wasn't an idiot with him, but
I'm just so damn lovable.
I guess
With
so.
Lloyd, he can't
Look
get
at
enough.
you,
He's
cuddly
like,
and
he's like, look at that guy.
yeah.
He probably wants to go to Thailand and see the elephants with me. And
Yeah.
I would love to. I would love to see elephants.
Yeah. Well, that's all there is in Thailand to go see is
That's what I
elephants.
heard.
Can
That's
you
what I
see
heard.
I'm like sweating to death here? This is like
You're down in the tropics.
I know, like what the hell's going on?
I mean,
Okay.
it's cool.
Okay. I'm ending this. See you later,
See
everybody.
ya, man.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yep.